Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and I'm down here by the pond again today because yesterday I dug this 200-foot drainage ditch to funnel water off of the muddy part of our property up there down into the pond. Today I've got to fill that in, set up my French drain, and also run some aeration line for the new aerating system down here at the pond. Normally right here I say this should be a lot of fun, but I'm really not sure if it will be. I kind of think it's going to be a hassle to get that fabric to lay down in the trench and to keep it there while I put the rock in, and I think it's going to be a hassle, but it needs done, so let's get going. Before I go up and get the rest of the materials, I just want to show you that we finished digging the trench about 12 hours ago, and it's been a steady stream of water flowing through that ever since, and it's still draining into the pond. Digging this trench created a void, and water finds a void, and we will have that same void once we get the trench put in. So to me, that's proof that this is going to work. All right, so I went up and got the rest of the materials, and this box has pins in it. These are like a giant staple, I guess. I thought they were going to be more like a tent stake or something, but I see how this design's actually better. What those are designed to do is hold your fabric in place while you're filling your trench. And I've got this material here, which is a Geotextile fabric. So this is made by Super Geotextile, heavy duty Geotextiles, 4-ounce material, 6 foot wide, 100 foot long. So my pipe sections came in 100 foot, this comes in 100 foot. So I went around to a bunch of local stores and tried to find this, and nobody had anything that was this quality. Now that I've opened it and looked at it, this stuff's a lot tougher than like the landscape fabric you're gonna get at a hardware store. And I was just looking, I actually spent $100 per 100 foot of this, so it's $1 a foot. So if you're interested in the fabric I bought, I'll put a link to it in the description. I don't want this to take off on me if we do get a big gust of wind, so I'm gonna lay this extra piece that's fairly heavy on the end to hold it down. Now I'm gonna go down to that end and start dragging it into the trench, start placing my pins, and see if we can get this moving. Now I've got a pin here and a pin there. I think it's not going to take very many of those before it's held well enough for me to pull the other end. Getting this fabric spread evenly across the trench and pushed down in the bottom and staked on both sides seemed like kind of a daunting task. But when it came to actually doing it, it really wasn't that bad. I just had to take my time. Now, if it had been windy, that might have been a different story. But as it is, I was able to get it done in a reasonable amount of time. All right. Basically in place. I don't know if it's pushed all the way down in places. So I'm going to fasten one side with the pins, then drop the pipe in, make sure it's pushed all the way down, and then pin the other side. When I finished digging this last night, I had a nice steady stream of water running down it into the pond. And when I came out this morning, almost all the standing water was clear. There were just a few spots with a couple inches of water. So that reinforced to me that the trench was level enough to put it in use. Sometimes this pipe only has holes on one side, and if that's the case, you definitely want those holes facing down. But the pipe I bought had holes all the way around, so I didn't have to worry about that. So that first scoop was a bit of a test for how much rock I need in each area, and it's a lot less than I thought. It looks like you only need about a half or maybe a little less than half of a scoop for each 5-foot section, the width of the bucket. So I'll get this spread out because I only want this to halfway fill the trench. I still want there to be a 6-inch layer of dirt so we can get good grass to grow across this. So I guess I need to manually spread this out and dump less from now on. Well, a smarter guy would have dumped half a load and checked it. Saved a little bit of grunt work. I'm gonna pull the pins on this side just enough so I can see how that's gonna lay. All right, so the fabric will fold back in like this. I'm pretty sure that I've seen people use these same pins to keep the fabric folded over while you fill it with dirt. But these are not gonna just jab down into that rock. Seems like you need a different type of pin here. I now know that this is gonna work like this. I'll get the rest of the trench filled in. I was expecting it to be kind of a hassle to get the fabric in place and to get the pipe in place. But then I thought it would be really easy just to fill the trench with rock. And I was wrong about that. At least doing it by myself, that is. Because I have zero visibility into this trench. And that means that I couldn't tell where I needed the rock. I couldn't tell if I had enough rock. And it was just on and off the tractor multiple times. And then a lot of moving rock by hand that I didn't expect. As I sit here and complain about the fact I had to get on and off the tractor, it sounds kind of petty, actually. I should probably just be glad that I wasn't doing this whole job with a wheelbarrow and a shovel. But with that being said, I was definitely glad when my son showed up and offered to help me spread the gravel in the trench. It really sped the rest of this up. Okay, so we've got the first 100 foot filled, and we've got enough room to fold this fabric over. Now basically, we're gonna repeat that entire process for another 100 foot. I'm standing in the trench at the end of the first 100 feet that we laid first. In the interest of shortening up this video, we went ahead and put the fabric and the pipe in the next 100 feet, and I joined them with a union. And even though that union doesn't have to be watertight, I don't want it to separate, so I'm gonna put a little bit of tape around it. What I happen to have is this Gorilla weatherproof patch tape. I'm gonna put that tape on this joint, and I'm gonna put it over the end so dirt doesn't get pushed into the end of the pipe, and then we'll start spreading rock into this trench. I tell you what, this Gorilla tape is some tough stuff. I thought I was gonna cut it with a pocket knife on my keychain. That wouldn't cut it at all. It's almost like a roof patch or something, but I don't need to seal this up watertight. I just don't want it wide open so it can fill with dirt. All right, so we got the trench filled in, we got the fabric folded back across it. Now all I've got to do is lay the air line in it for the pond aeration system, and then we can start filling in with dirt. Now, if you didn't see it the other day, I installed a Condors Water Solutions electric aerator. Rather than putting the pump down by the pond, you can put it up by your house, or in this case, we put it by the pool and plugged it into the electricity up here and run the air line down. Is a lot easier than running an electric line down. The only thing I found out I did wrong was I plugged that into an extension cord, and the manufacturer says you should not plug your aerator into an extension cord, it should be plugged in direct. So I need to move it to the other side of the pool. That means we need to add one more section of hose so it'll reach. Instead of using the burial line, I'm gonna use this weighted line, and that way I can submerge this line in the water and run it across the pond to the drain line, down the drain line, and then right over to where it's plugged in, and not have any of this line exposed. So currently I only have one section of the weighted line that just goes from right here to the aerator. So all I've got to do is take this apart with the hose clamp and add in a section of the weighted line, then we'll cut it straight across the pond. Hold on. Okay, just start pulling it out that way. Lay it in the trench and then pull it. Yeah, let's leave a little bit more slack actually. Where's the heavy line stop? Okay, that's about right. Lay that there, we'll bury it there, and we've got quite a bit of slack in the pond if we need to move the bucket. When we go to dig this out right here, we'll just pull that line out and then we can dig this. The instructions on this hose say to bury it 8 inches deep. I was gonna lay it next to the pipe, but I thought that crushed stone could be hard on it. So I at least folded the fabric over and set it on that. Now we can push the dirt over on it. We should have plenty of dirt over this, and this will be a fairly permanent solution. Even if I had to change pumps for some reason, I've got this airline in place. All right, so the diffuser's running again, the pond's being aerated. The only evidence you'll ever have of where that air comes from is one little strip right there at the end of the drain line running into the pond. And honestly, when I repair this bank, I'll probably cover over that as well. My son is 16. Occasionally I'll have him like go get the tractor for me or move something, but not a whole lot. He's gonna try to fill this trench in and we'll just see how it goes. So I'm trying to ease him in a little bit at a time to how to operate a tractor, and he wasn't too excited about actually moving this dirt, but I explained to him that clumpy, wet dirt is harder to spread than rock or dry dirt, so I really wasn't trying to get it too perfect right here myself. Alright, so here is our airline. When we got down to the last 10 feet of the trench, I cut another trench going this way. The airline made the corner, and then I went ahead and buried the rest of the drain line up past it. As wet and muddy as this ground is, that's probably the best that I'm going to be able to smooth it out with the bucket. The end result is, no matter what I do, it's going to sink in. I actually drove my rear tires right down the trench to try to pack it, and then I back dragged it from both sides and just did the best I could with it. But after we're done up here in the next couple of days, I should have the box blade on, or I'll put it on and come back down here once this is dried out and circle around it and see if I can get it a little better. Anyway, I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I'll put more of our videos on the screen right here, and I'll see you next time.